What's up, y'all? Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. We're back with some more work on the Evo, on the restoration we got going on here. In the last video, if you're new, if you just missed it, we got the underside of the car coated. We got it primed, coated, it's all good to go. It's dry now, so we can begin putting things back on the car, or at least the process of putting things back on the car. There's still tons of work to do, but I do feel like we've crested over the hill now, but there's still a lot of cleanup to do, a lot of work to do on the suspension arms, the subframe, brake lines, all that stuff. We got a lot of Cerakoting we're gonna do, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Lots of work, as I said, and we can begin this process of putting things back on the car. Alright, first we got all of the lines that go under the car here. Brake lines, fuel lines, all that stuff. We're running some different fuel lines, so I'm not going to be worried about that too much, but I do want to get some of the brake lines cleaned up and all that. They do have some road grime and road funk on them, so yeah, gotta get those cleaned up, scrubbed up, so let's do that first and then we'll move on. Before we get super started on those brake lines, I wanted to show you I made a new tent. I had this set up in here before, but I went ahead and removed all the plastic from before because it was just so dirty and so just covered in dust from all the grinding we done. So we made this little tent here. We'll spray the Cerakote inside of this. We kind of go in here and we'll hang up the parts, do what we gotta do, and spray some Cerakote in here. It's kind of makeshift, but it gets the job done. Okay, we got both brake lines cleaned up. We scrubbed them with the wire brush, wiped them down with the rag, using some Simple Green. Now, I mentioned before that I wanted to do something custom with these lines. I was originally planning on making my own, but that's a little more custom than I want to do right this second. So I'm thinking about Cerakoting them, but they have a coating on them. It's coming off in some places. From some rocks hitting it and whatnot, but it says for Cerakote to remove all current coatings and whatnot, and I don't really want to grind and sand and do all that stuff on these lines to get down to bare metal. So I'm going to attempt to clean one of the lines we're not going to use in a small section, and then I'm going to prep it how I think I should. We will clean it up, we'll scuff it up, all that stuff, and then I'm going to try to Cerakote that piece of line as a test and see what happens. I want to see how it handles it, if it kind of screws up somehow or whatever. So we'll use one of those lines as a test, and then if it goes well, then I might just clean, scuff, and do all that stuff to these lines and then Cerakote those. I'm going to clean one of these lines real quick, a small section of it, and then we will try to spray some Cerakote on it and see what happens. Alright, we've got everything set up. I'm wearing a respirator because this stuff smells pretty bad. So I'm going to spray a little bit on this thing right here and see what happens. I'm going to go black and white because I realized I have not said the color we're using on the car yet, so I want to kind of hide that. So we'll go black and white and then we'll come back. Okay, so, one, I'm not sure if you can hear me in the garage there or not, but this is black and white because I have not said what the color we're doing the subframe and suspension arms is, and that's what I sprayed this in, and I kind of want to keep that quiet for a little bit longer, so that's why it's black and white. But aside from that, that stuff sprayed on really, really well with just that scuffing and stuff. Now, I would not recommend or not condone not doing what they say to do. But for this project and for these brake lines and for the lines that have this coating on there, I think this might actually work. So I'm going to ponder this a little bit more, and I'm going to think about it a little bit more and see, because now that I know that it sprays on great and it doesn't bubble up or fisheye or have any issues with how I done that, I might just spray the brake lines and Cerakote those lines. So yeah, that was an interesting test, good to know. And so now let's move on to some other stuff. So I decided real quick to just go under the car and remove all of the tape I had on the bottom of the car on these little studs and whatnot. And it got me thinking, perhaps I will Cerakote those, because Cerakote is so thin that it won't affect the threads and whatnot from what I hear. I did hit those a bit with a wire brush as I was doing the underside of the car, and so it knocked off the paint and everything, so I thought perhaps I'll Cerakote the studs and all the threads to kind of protect those things. So I'm going to ponder that as well. But I'll probably do that, and I'll just use a, I do have a titanium color. It's like a metallic silver almost. But I will likely use that on these things to make them look nice and to protect them from the elements and stuff over time and to keep the corrosion off of them. But let's move on to the suspension arms. Okay, so I gotta get these cleaned up. As you can see, there's tons of corrosion on these things. There's even some old undercoating that was on the car from before. Got sprayed onto these things as well. So I gotta get all that stuff off and cleaned up and make these things look nice and prepped out for some Cerakote. Alright, we got all the arms cleaned up. This little piece of the subframe's also cleaned up. Those Prime MX wheels really do the trick on this stuff, getting off all that corrosion and just getting all that stuff off of there. They look very, very nice, but nevertheless, we are not going to leave these things polished or chrome. We're going to Cerakote them a specific color. I am really excited about it, especially after trying it on those hard lines and seeing the color like sprayed out. It's going to look so good under the car. But for right now, we gotta get these things out of the way to get them out of the floor. And I think I am gonna take this subframe piece to a sandblaster and have them get like in these grooves and whatnot, because I can't get in there and I don't want to spray the Cerakote over the corroded stuff inside of there. So we're gonna take them and have them spray that real quick with some media and get that good to go. And then some other pieces I need to take as well. Whoops! I need to take the mustache bar and get this thing sandblasted and powder coated because it is super grody. I also need to remove these hoses from the filler neck on the gas side of things because it is super corroded, super rusty, looks like poop. So we don't want to put that back on the car with everything else being super nice. So get those hoses off and get this thing to powder coat and get that thing looking nice and new to put that back on the car. And then also we've got this big chonko right here. I'm probably going to send this to sandblast as well to get it cleaned up because it's a pretty big piece. And so I'm thinking about having them just do this piece as well along with the other stuff. But yeah, moving right along. Alright, random project number who knows what today. We had the heat shield along the bottom of the car that goes along next to the exhaust and the drivetrain and all that. It was pretty corroded, had some rust on it and stuff too. So we sanded that down to almost nothing. Just not bare metal everywhere, but got a lot of the corrosion and road grime off, and then we sprayed it with some high heat paint. So that is drying now, and man, it looks way, way better than it did before. I like the black much more than the silver, so yeah, should look pretty cool under the car. And I did decide that I'm going to Cerakote these lines. So I went through and taped off. There's some like rubber, or let's see if I can find, I didn't do this one yet, but there's like a rubber like kind of sleeve on some of the lines. So I taped that up to keep that black and to keep it from being like coated over and stuff. But yeah, definitely going to Cerakote these lines. Not in this video, but probably in the next one. We're going to coat these things and make them look nice. And with all that being said, I think I'm going to end this one off here. I know today was super random and sporadic and kind of all over the place, but it was a lot of things we had to do to like prep and prepare and organize for future videos that are coming up here very quickly. And so yeah, I'm glad we done that test on the hard lines, so now I know I can Cerakote those brake lines and it be okay. And so I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to show you guys the color that we're going to use on the brake lines, the subframe, the suspension arms, all that stuff. I'll give you a hint though, I haven't said it yet, but the first letter in both words in the name are B, so that's all you get for now. now, but yeah, I'll be sharing that color here soon, and I cannot wait to see it on the car, because seeing it on that hardline today, it's gonna look so good under the car. So very excited, lots of cool things to come. And so yeah, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it very much. As always, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of the process, the progress. If you have any comments or questions, drop those down there as well. I'd be glad to help as much as I can. While you are doing all that stuff, don't forget to do all the other YouTube things. You guys know how it goes here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.